Hi everyone, I'm Celeste. Welcome to my BookTube channel, A Reader's Almanac. Today I am here to tell you that I have discovered a 5-star read. It is a children's book and it's one I had never heard of before. I came across it quite accidentally. I was browsing a bookshop online. It's a website for Hatchards, and they are a very, very old and well-respected bookstore in England, and they have an online website that you can also order books from. And so I was kind of browsing that website. I was interested in Penguin Random House Vintage Classics and adding some titles to my collection. I started to look through some of the children's books because a lot of those titles looked really interesting to me. And I accidentally stumbled upon this one, and it is called Charlotte Sometimes, and it is by an author named Penelope Farmer. So take a look at this gorgeous cover. I just love it. But I had never heard of Charlotte Sometimes. I had never heard of Penelope Farmer. And based on this cover, I was curious to find out what it was. So I read the description of it and I was immediately sold. I was like, done, taken, and I immediately ordered it. So Charlotte Sometimes is the story of a girl who is named Charlotte Makepeace, and she's headed to a boarding school in England in the late 1950s. And the girls are assigned to dorm rooms, and Charlotte is the first student in the dorm room, and she gets to choose what bed she would like. So she chooses kind of a peculiar looking bed, and so settles in, and that night she goes to sleep. But the next morning, when she wakes up, things seem a bit queer, a bit peculiar. And she looks out the window, and the view doesn't seem quite the same as it had yesterday, like something is slightly off. Come to find out, she learns that somehow she has traveled back in time to the same boarding school but 40 years ago, and it's now 1918, and the First World War is going on. And the story goes on from there, but it is absolutely marvelous. The writing was magical. The characters are very believable. They had me at First World War because I love fiction and historical fiction, all of that is set during the Great War. I love time travel stories. I don't really want to give too much away about this story because I want this to be a low to no spoiler review. But the concepts of belonging and not belonging and duality and the shadow side of things, and perceptions of time speeding up and slowing down. And the way Penelope Farmer wrote it was just magical. It's like when you're a little girl and you come across a book and you just get this feeling in your heart that it is just magical and wonderful, and that you've stumbled upon something very deliciously special. And that's how I feel about this book. Now, I did find out that after I read it, that it is actually part of a trilogy, and it's the third book in the trilogy. So I was very surprised to learn that. But you can certainly read it on its own as a standalone. But it's very hard to find the other books in the trilogy. Now, the first two books in the series, the first one is called The Summer Birds, and I have not been able to find that book anywhere. I found one copy, but the person wanted $178 for it. They don't even have it in my library system. So I have a feeling I'm going to have to do a bit of searching if I'm ever going to find a copy that I could afford of The Summer Bird. So that's the first book in this series. The second one I was able to find an affordable copy of, and that is called Emma in Winter. And Emma is Charlotte's little sister. So here is that one. It is rather beaten up. But this one is more about Emma, and it involves flying. And I thought this would be a really fun one to read this winter, so I may save this one for December. I feel like just as Charlotte time traveled back in time, I'm traveling back in time through the trilogy. So I started with the last one, and now I'm moving on to the middle one, and I'll end with the first one. And then I also did find a few other titles online on eBay of books by Penelope Farmer. I found one called The Bone Castle, which is on its way to me from eBay. I also found this beautiful edition of a book called William and Mary. And I don't really know much about what this one is about, other than that it also involves flying. But I just thought, what a gorgeous, gorgeous cover this is. So there's that one. And then Penelope Farmer also deals with themes of twins and of dualities. And she is actually the editor of the Virago book of Twins and Doubles. And I have also gotten a copy of this in almost new condition. And it's all excerpts of writing from literature across the years of twins and doubles. So I thought that was really interesting as well. And I did happen to see that there was another edition of Charlotte Sometimes that was published by the New York Review Children's Collection. And so I have actually also purchased that edition. It's a hardcover because I just thought the cover was so amazingly beautiful. And this is that. So this is the hardcover Charlotte Sometimes, and two little girls on the front. Oh, it is just fantastic. It's a 5-star read for me. It's just really fascinating, and I highly recommend checking out some books by Penelope Farmer. And you know, there is also a song by The Cure, and I'm a fan of The Cure, and the song is called Charlotte Sometimes. And I never realized that it was about this book, or it was named after this book. Anyway, that's all I have for today. I hope you've enjoyed this, and I hope you will check out Penelope Farmer. Bye-bye.